What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bass Life. I'm your host, Bob Adler, and man, have we got a great show for you today. We've got Navionics Pro Dave Chong with us, and we're going to be talking about going over some mapping, some chips, a new app that Navionics came out with, and seeing as it's 2 days to Bass Opener here in Southern Ontario, we are going to pick Dave's brain about all kinds of stuff and see if he can help us catch more fish this weekend. So that's going to be exciting. Stick around. It's going to be awesome. I want to introduce my co-host for this week. This guy is my fishing partner for 20 years. Mr. Joey Crumpton, everybody.
Hey.
Joey! Wow, look at that.
Pleased
Look at
to
that
be here.
beauty right there. Holy smoke. How you doing, man?
Not bad. Not bad. You know, I've been looking forward to this opportunity to be on Bass Life because it's it's a big part of our life, you know. It's I've watched some of your other shows with great interest, and you've done a fabulous job.
Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. We got 2 more sleeps till bass season, bud.
Well, you know what? That's a big deal. That's a big
I know.
deal, you know, like sleepless nights. I actually have to go to work during the course of those next 2 days. And of course, we'll be hopping up to one of our favorite lakes on Friday night and Pigeon Lake, and we'll see what we can't figure out up there. So we can't find some fish for a change. That lake seems to stymie us.
Well, you want to know also what Saturday, you know what Saturday marks for us?
No, you need to fill me in on that one, bud.
That, my friend, is our 20-year bassiversary.
We have a bassiversary?
We have been fishing together for 20 years, my friend.
Oh my God, I have not been informed. I didn't pay attention to the calendar.
Yeah.
Great, Bob. I'm glad at least you noticed it.
Well, I'm sensitive that way, my friend.
I can see that. I can see that.
No, we started fishing together in 2000, man.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, man. It's been quite a journey.
Oh,
Not much of a hiatus in between either. You know, it's been a pretty steady Freddy.
no, we've had our ups and downs and triumphs and a lot of trips back to Toronto with our tails tucked between our legs, but managed not to kill each other along the way.
Nope.
So
no, it's all been good. It's all been good. It's been a great history for me, and I wouldn't really. I mean, I've had other partners doing other things in years gone by, but this has been a great tenure, and I like to continue it. I mean, I'm walking into long tooth territory now, and I'm over 60, so it's like. But every year's the same thing for me. I look forward to it, and this year is no different. I'm sorry that our situation is what it is at the moment, but we're just going to learn to live with it and work with it. That's all.
yeah, we'll get through it. So
Yep.
I will say this in the most manly way possible. Happy bassiversary, my friend.
Well, happy bassiversary back.
Okay.
I'm glad you know.
All right,
Thanks.
folks. Yeah.
Where's
Okay.
the cake?
I didn't. We'll
No
get a
cake?
cake. Get a cake on Saturday.
Okay. All right. I'll take a muffin from Tim Hortons.
I'll get one for you. Don't worry.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, folks, our guest tonight, we have known this gentleman for a long time. He's extremely knowledgeable when it comes to the sport of fishing, and we are so glad to have him with us. It is Mr. Dave Chong. Dave, how are you, buddy?
I'm awesome, guys. How are you guys doing? Happy bassiversary, guys.
Oh, thanks very much. Hey,
Thank you.
Look at the guy. He hasn't aged at all. He looks the same as he did when he's first starting his bass fishing years.
Oh God! Trust me, my body tells me I've aged. So it's okay.
I hear you there, man. I hear you.
Elbow from jerkbaiting and all the rest of it.
Oh yeah, issues with knees, ankles, you name it. But hey, listen, once I'm in the boat, I'm ready to go. Tie me to the pro pole, and I'll just keep casting. That's all.
Yeah, it's amazing how that happens. We bitch and whine about all our aches and pains, but when you're on the boat, all of a sudden that all goes away, and you're just focused in, right?
Exactly.
It's kind of funny because I remember, like, even a couple of seasons back, I broke my ankle, and Bob just perched me on a lawn chair from back of the boat, and he put up with it. I didn't catch many fish, to be honest with you, but I mean, we mucked our way through the season.
What happens when you had to go for the net?
Yeah, well, trust me. Bob had to do most of the work.
That was hilarious. Having him perched on a lawn chair on the back of his own boat was hilarious. So Dave,
Yeah, that would be funny.
We got you in here tonight, and we are going to start off with Navionics stuff. Now,
lots of big stuff going on.
I know, and
big.
you think back in the day, like this stuff has come so far.
Oh,
we never had this kind of stuff back in the day.
Yeah, I sat for hours and hours and hours with our hydrographic charts that we got from the government.
Yeah,
with little rulers measuring things, and even when we had our first GPSs, they didn't have any mapping on them. You had numbers.
Yeah,
you had coordinates. That's all you had. So you had to sit down with these rulers on your chart and try to approximate. If this looks like a hump here, I got to try to figure out approximately the longitude and latitude, and then punch it into your GPS. Nowadays, honestly, I hate to say it, but people who are getting into fishing nowadays pretty well have it so easy. Spots on the spot that took years to find. You turn on your unit now, Navionics chart comes up, and boom, oh, it's there. There it is.
Yeah, yeah. The mapping's gone crazy, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Navionics has come out with something that help us even more in that boating app. Is that correct?
Oh God, it's if people don't realize, I talk about it all the time, but I honestly believe that Navionics boating app is by far, this is not a sponsorship thing, this is my honest feeling, is the best value you'll ever get in fishing. I laugh when people complain, oh, I have to pay $30 a year to use it. And if you use it properly, oh my God, that $30 is the best money you'll ever spend. You can't buy a mega bass jerkbait for $30.
Yeah.
One lure,
True.
and here's something that, it's crazy, it's crazy. So, but it really is it's such a great tool. And of course, they also have all the chips that go on your units, and now your phone can talk to your units and yada yada yada.
Well, before we get into that, let's talk about the boating app. What are some of the features that guys can take advantage of with this for their $30?
Well, your $30 a year, what that gives you, first of all, you can get a trial period for it free.
Okay.
And it used to be 2 weeks. Don't quote me on that right now. I haven't looked at that in a little while, but you used to get it for 2 weeks, and you had access to pretty well all the features. And then once your 2 weeks is up, you either pay the subscription for the year, which, like I said, in Canada, it's about $30. And then that gives you access to all the advanced features. If you don't pay the subscription, you can still use the boating app. You can still use the maps that you've downloaded on it. You can still, but you just don't get. So here, a couple of the things that are really cool that's come out in the last few years is, number one, probably the first thing that came out that really caught my eye was the shaded, colored shaded depth ranges.
Okay? We messed around with it when I showed Joey that app. We messed around with that, and it's awesome.
Yeah. So you can pick your ranges. You can pick a color from 0 to 6, 6 to 12, 12 to 18, all different colors. And all of a sudden, everything pops now. It's so easy. Previous to that, if you had a hump or a hole, it all looked the same. It's just all these lines.
Yeah.
And until you zoomed in and looked at the numbers, you didn't know, was that a rise or was that a depression? Mm-hmm. Well, when you color the ranges, you can, at a glance, well, that's a hump or that's a hole. It just makes it so much easier. You can see those inside turns, outside turns, on structure. It is crazy. So that's probably the, one of the first big things that kind of popped out. And then I'm trying to think how long ago. It's been a few months now, probably like 3 or 4 months ago. They allowed the Sonar Charts shading and the satellite imaging on your app. So now you actually, if you have a current subscription, you get a 3D kind of in shades of blue, darker where it goes deeper and lighter when it goes shallow. And it's a lot easier to visualize than just looking at lines for some people, And that was pretty cool.
I think they
That's
call that
sonar chart shading.
Sonar
chart shading. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, bathymetric. It's part of it. Yeah, for sure. And of course the satellite imaging. And they just had another update to that. What's today? Less than a week ago, they had an update to that. And originally, like for instance, if you looked at the sonar chart shadings, you looked at Lake Simcoe, the middle of Lake Simcoe was still just a white square because it didn't come out that far from the shore, the sonar chart shading. Well, now they've upgraded it. Now it goes deeper and further offshore. And it also has had some enhanced satellite imaging. The satellite imaging is really good, on it. And then just at the same time, they've released the high resolution relief shading, which we've had for the people who use Garmin and had thing. Oh, you know what? Can we show you those layers and people will understand much better. Seeing is believing, I guess is the best thing here. So why don't we do that before just to show you what you're getting. And like I said, all this stuff is, as long as you have a subscription that you pay $30 for a year for, it's all on your thing. Otherwise, you have to pay. Well, you should have a card in your unit anyways, but you would have to pay for a Platinum Plus or a Hot Map Platinum to get all these features. Okay. So let's see. We had this working earlier on. So, it looks like it's working here. Okay. So, you guys, everybody can. I hope everybody can see that. You guys can see the chart there. So this is part of the St. Lawrence River. Okay. So now I got to qualify a few things. This is a nautical chart. So this is like the hydrographic charts that we used to roll out and take the rulers with, that came from the government, okay? And they were kind of accurate. Not totally, not very, but they're kind of accurate. They're roughly, correct. There's shows roughly where they show them, okay? And then these hydrographic lines here typically were in 5-foot increments, I do believe, or greater, but then they came out with Sonar Charts, which gives you 1-foot contours.
Yeah.
Which again makes things so much easier, and you can see things so much better. Now, when you came, actually I should have put one in between with the colored ranges too, just so people can see if they haven't seen it already. But if they follow me at all or see my stuff, I've posted images of that all over the place. Now, this is the sonar chart shading with the satellite imagery. So you can see all in shades of blue, and it kind of gives you an idea, kind of like a 3D aspect of what the bottom looks like. And of course, like I said,
it just kind of pops out at you.
Yeah. Now, the interesting part about this is the sonar chart shading. Up till very recently, we had very few lakes available in Canada. In fact, in Ontario, there was Lake of the Woods and I think 2 other lakes in northwestern Ontario that had this available on the Platinum Plus or the Hot Maps Platinum card. And that was it. So and I've been bugging them for, well, I'd like to say years now, but really hasn't been that long. But I've been bugging them real hard, say, listen, it's hard to tell people that they should buy a Platinum Plus or a Hot Maps Platinum when this is one of the main features is not available on it up here for most bodies of water.
Yeah.
So about 2 months ago, the entire Trent Severn, the entire Rideau system, all the Great Lakes, St. Lawrence River, Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, Georgian Bay, now all have this sonar chart shading available on it. So that's cool. The next thing I'm going to show you is even cooler, but bad news for Canadians. We don't have much of it accessible up here in Canada yet. Again, I will push for it. That's why I'm using an area on the St. Lawrence River, because this is about as far north as any of the next thing, which I'm going to show you, which is the high resolution relief shading. And again, this is on your Navionics Platinum Plus or your Hot Map Platinum cards and your boating app. So wait till you see this now. You ready?
Yeah.
Boom.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
my.
This is the high resolution relief shading, which unfortunately up here,
Wow.
for us, really it's only the St. Lawrence River that has it available, but they will obviously, they're constantly, Navionics is a company that's constantly updating everything. Even people say, oh, why do I need to pay for a subscription to keep updated and everything? Because you get all the free daily updates and everything, right? When you pay for the subscription, right? But
$30, Dave?
Yeah, worldwide.
Wow.
Now it doesn't always affect us, but worldwide, Navionics does like at least something like 2,000 updates a day,
Wow.
daily.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always changes. It may not necessarily affect us, but I'm just wondering if I can. If I stop sharing this one, I can bring up another. But look
Yep,
at
I can
that.
stop that for you.
Yeah, but if I stop it, I can bring up another screen, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so let's.
Danny Dunn's in the house. Everybody, he just got back from
Hey.
playing golf. So
Oh yeah, he told me he was golf. I talked to him this morning. He told me he was going golfing, and he said he hopefully he make it back for it. So let me see if I can.
want to ask him what he shot.
Let's see. What do we have here? Let's try to do this. Okay, here we go. Bum, 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 bum. Okay.
Bring that in.
Yep. Can you see that? So this,
Yep.
I basically took Southern Ontario here. This is what's called Navionics heat map. So everywhere you see that light blue is
Okay.
where there's been updates done to the charting.
Oh wow.
So when people say, "Oh, it probably doesn't change too much," or if you look at it, there's quite a bit. This is just Southern Ontario. If you look at the world, the world map, as I zoom out here, you can see the everywhere it's blue is where they've, where there's been changes. This is their heat map where the changes have been done. So as you can see, we get quite a bit of of coverage, and how these updates are done is, I think most people know now, Navionics is a Garmin brand. It's owned by Garmin now. So when you see these changes, they are either updates done through users who upload their Sonar Charts, that they've done their own charting, or where Garmin has boats that go out there and graph, and Navionics has boats that go out there and graph. So, there's lots of sources for updated information, but you can see there is changes. So it's very well worthwhile, to
So for
to get the updates.
So for the average angler, Dave, when can I take this app on my iPad, for example, sit down, have a cup of coffee on my couch? I can also put waypoints on this thing, can I not?
Absolutely. I spend a lot of time in the bathroom with my iPad. my wife often wonders if I'm just constipated or what's the story, when actually I'm planning my next fishing trip, and I'm like here's my iPad right here. So what the other cool thing about the boating app right now, and like I said, when I used to come on and talk about it, I'd get people coming on forums and stuff like that who bitch and complain and say, "Oh, it used to be free and now I got a thing." I'm going, well, you know what? Companies, when they're putting this, all this information in there, again, it's a business, you have to make money. And when you think about it, in reality, if $30 a year, maybe you shouldn't be going fishing. If $30 a year is going to affect you, maybe you should be doing other things other than going fishing, So, anyways, that's fine.
if I could just
especially
say
these
one
days.
thing on this, it's, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you said it yourself. I mean, one crankbait is $30. For heaven's sake, the amount of money we blow in this industry is
Oh yeah,
uncountable and unretrievable. What's $30
yep,
for
yep.
something that
No,
gives you that kind of information and puts you more in the
I'm,
driver's seat fishing? If you want to be competitive with these other guys,
yeah,
then
yeah,
then this kind of an
yeah,
you know, this kind of a
yeah,
Navionics thing.
yeah.
I think it's fabulous.
So Navionics used to have numerous apps. They used to have an app for Canada, used to have for States,
Yeah.
app for Europe, all these different ones on there. Well, now it's one boating app, and you select your area you want, you know, to download the charts for it. The other thing they've done is, in the past, you needed a separate app for your iPad and a separate app for your phone. And honestly, I remember the app for the iPhone, the iPad used to be like $50 or $60 a year,
Yeah.
on top of what you're paying for your phone. But now it's one boating app, works across all your devices, your tablet, your phone, and what's even cooler about it is it works across both platforms. So if you happen to have an Android phone and an iPad tablet, the same app actually works on both your devices, and you only pay one subscription.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know how much better value if people can't see the value in so far what I'll, and I'm not even, I'm sure I'm missing a few things that I can go on about, but you know, when you think about, so you can put up to, if you're an Apple user like I am, you can put up to 1,000 waypoints on your, or markers on your app. And, if you happen to be an Android user, it's unlimited.
Wow.
You can,
wow.
you can put as many markers on there as you want. Yeah.
You lend me $30, Bob?
Well, I know when I tried the. Sorry, what'd you say, Joey?
I said, can you lend me $30, Bob?
I'll loan you $30,
right
no
now.
problem.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
not a problem. Not a problem.
Yeah.
I know when we tried the trial offer there, and I showed Joey the depth shading on that. Like,
Yeah, it was great.
it's amazing that stuff like underwater points, like just all kinds of stuff, just pops. All of a sudden, you see it now. And what I liked about it when I was doing the trial offer is, like I said, I was able to sit on my couch, have a cup of coffee, drop a few waypoints,
Yep.
and then I was able to upload the stuff into my old Hummingbirds. So
Yep.
this is not just a Garmin specific thing, correct?
Right. Correct.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
I'm
you get-
happy about.
You can share your data from your app with your, you know, assuming, you know, you can share it with your Hummingbird, your Lowrance, you know. One thing you have to understand is, I know people have a hard time getting their head around this. Although Garmin owns Navionics, Navionics is run as a separate company. And if you have a Garmin unit, you actually need Garmin chips.
Right.
And you your mapping is done, if you know, to share things is done through your Active Captain app, which you use for your Garmin units, not through your Navionics.
Yeah, but
So,
I mean, Navionics, when Garmin took over Navionics, because this is what I was worried about, because I did use the free version before.
yeah,
And when they went to the paid version, I had called them up. And I was like, okay, great. Garmin's taking them over. Are you going to leave all us Hummingbird guys out to dry?
Yeah.
And it turned out not to be the case.
Yeah.
They're still making chips for, you know, Garmin units, as well as Hummingbird units
Yep.
and Lowrance units. So
Lowrance, Ray Marine, yeah.
Yeah.
There's it works. It works on all of them. And the other thing is, there, you know, I mean, sure, people can, you know, have their opinions and stuff like that, but there is no mapping chip that offers what the Navionics chip, you know, or the boating app offers.
100%.
There's nothing out there that's remotely close for the number of lakes that are available on it. You know, I'm not saying that the charting on whatever LakeMaster or
Yeah.
C Map or whatever all the other ones are. I'm not saying that they're not good charts, but if you look at the number of charts, so I fish a little lake. I'll put it this way. I don't know who charted it, but I fish a little lake in Richmond Hill, 10 minutes from my house. It's called Bond Lake. It's right on Yonge Street. Yeah, it's on the Navionics charts. There's
Really?
contour lines on it. Oh yeah, I zoomed in and go, what the hell? And I've been out there. Actually, I've been out there with Will Wagman in a canoe, and he had a sonar, and the points that they were showing, yeah, they're bang on.
Wow.
So there's, you know what, they can say whatever they want, but there's nobody else that has the number of lakes on their chips or available on the boating app that Navionics has.
Yeah.
And now, when Garmin bought them, the neat thing about it, Garmin's weakness really prior to buying Navionics was their mapping. Okay, where they had charted their own, did their own graphing and charting, the quality and the data was amazing, but they only did that on the St. Lawrence, the Lake Ontario, big bodies of water, and everything else was still based on the old, government nautical charts, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So once they came together, now the Navionics chips and the Garmin G3 chips, they incorporate both the Navionics and Garmin data together now. So you got the best of both worlds. So wherever Garmin has graphed it and has amazing charts for, it's available to Navionics users now. And of course, Navionics data is available to the Garmin users now. So
That's amazing. No, they're doing amazing things with that.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, Dave. I don't know. This is a pretty well kept secret among top guys. It's a program called ReefMaster. Have you heard of it before?
I have heard of it. I'm not really familiar with it, but
it is amazing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you it does all of those things, the bathymetric charts and all that. But what it does do is it allows you to take side scan images that you record.
Yeah.
And it allows you to lay it on the map in a mosaic fashion, so side by side. Because most of the time, I don't even know if a lot of guys are even recording their side scans. I mean, what would be the point, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because up until now, you really haven't had a way to kind of see the whole picture. And this ReefMaster allows you to do that. If you get a chance, check it out. It is amazing. It's not cheap. It's not cheap, I'll tell you that, but it's a pretty amazing piece of software.
Yeah. The other thing is when you're doing that, and even like with my Garmin units, I can obviously put my chip in, but if I'm on a body of water where it doesn't, one of the few bodies of water around that may not have charts available for it, of course we can make our own maps now, right? But of course that takes time.
It does,
and I know you guys are the same as I am. If I'm on the water, I want to fish. I don't really want to keep driving back and forth across the lake trying to make a chart. So if I already have it on a chip, that's great, or on my phone, that's awesome. I want to be fishing if I'm out there.
We try to do that stuff during walleye season. So we've got it all, yeah.
Well, bass season's coming, so there'll be no time for that. So I can't wait.
Well,
so where are you guys heading? Are you guys heading to Tri-Lakes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm heading out to Lake Ontario on the St. Lawrence River. So.
Nice.
Nice.
Should
be fun.
Any bedding stuff out there? Would you think right now?
Oh, there'll still be bedding fish.
Yeah.
Those. You know what? The thing about Lake Ontario and the St. Lawrence River at this time of year, honestly, there's probably fishing, pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn. There's probably fish in all three stages. So whatever you want to target, you should be able to find out there.
And that's a lot different from the inland lakes like the Kawarthas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, other than last year,
there might be a little bit out there, Bob. It's hard to say. We've had a lot of cold nights. Nights. There hasn't been real steady, static temperatures. So I'm not sure.
Most people I've talked to who've been on inland lakes, either whether they're crappie fishing or walleye fishing or bowfin fishing, which is becoming a pretty popular thing now. I know we had this discussion in a tackle store that I was in Belleville, and guy was ranting about all these guys in shallow, fishing bass before season opener and going, well, there's quite a few guys and Cooper Gallant, I think he did a video on targeting bowfins and stuff like that. And, a lot of guys have picked up on that, and it's fun. I mean, come on, bowfins, as ugly as they are, they'll eat a jig readily, and they fight like the dickens.
We
Yeah.
Bob caught a couple when we were up in Quinty. We got some of those. You remember that, Bob?
Yep.
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 Yeah. Well,
And,
Quinny has a lot of them.
I thought we kept thinking they were big buckets that were hiding in those little, brush piles. You get something under a log or whatever. Bob's like, I got one, and I'm like, what? And then you're like, oh my god, what the hell is that?
Yeah, but they fight. So from talking to people who've been out and have been shallow, I think a lot of the fish inland are done. To be honest, I think for sure the largemouth are, and there may be some straggler smallmouth, but Lake Ontario and the St. Lawrence River, that's a whole whole different beast. Like I said, there's going to be fish in all stages there, so it'll be interesting.
For the guys that are going on the inland lakes, maybe the Kawarthas or something, like, let's talk about post-spawn stuff for a minute. Where would you, David Chong, if you were going to one of the lakes in the Kawarthas, where would you go first?
Well, you know what? If I was sitting there looking at my Navionics charts, I'd try to identify what I would feel are spawning areas and spawning flats and stuff like that. And they're done, but it's not like they've been done for months. They've been maybe done for a week or maybe a week and a half at best. So a lot of times they'll drop out to that first kind of break. Yeah. And especially if there's weeds there, they'll hang out there. Hopefully they're past that first initial, when they first finish spawning and they go back out there, they do have a tendency to sit there and sulk a bit and, may not, readily feed, too well. But if it's been a week or so, they should be starting to put on their feed bag now. And, especially, like I say, if there's some weeds around, that's where I'd start looking for them, right nearby the spawning areas.
Yeah, would you?
And that's really been the traditional thinking.
Yep.
Yeah, would you be looking more for like active baits, like hard baits, or would you be like going in the drop shot route, perhaps? Or
oh no, I'd be if I was going to try lakes, I'd have a jig on. That's what I'd have on. If I'm looking for largemouth, I could have a jig on, and Danny's watching, so he's probably going.
Actually, what? Click on the top right hand corner, Dave. Click on the comments, and you'll see Danny. He's like, "Hey, would you call your buddy Dan first?" Yeah, if you click on comments, you can see him post.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, but Danny's a great jig fisherman, so that's why you mentioned he was on earlier. I said no. Honestly, that's listen. The thing about a jig, is you can fish it at different speeds, right?
Yeah.
sure.
You can swim it, which is basically how a chatterbait came around. That's basically a swimming jig with a blade on it.
Sure.
And but you can fish it slow. You can fish it every speed in between. So that's definitely what I would be starting with. That I start with a jig, and I may be swimming it in. And if I am going to do something for search dwells, you could always put on a chatterbait, which is, like I said, essentially a swimming jig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that'll allow you to cover some more water.
And now Joey and I talked a little earlier, and I asked Joey that question, and what you would say, and he said he thought you would say jerkbait. Because you're known as a jerkbait guy.
If I was looking for smallmouth, absolutely. I don't know if you know what I preference that by saying if I was looking for buckets, that's what I'd be throwing. But when it comes to smallmouth, jerkbaits have a real, I have a soft spot for jerkbaits, and I throw jerkbait whenever I can for smallies, and you can cover water, you can do all kinds of things with them.
That'll be the big target on the weekend for sure. I mean, we got a few ideas that we want to start working on this year, but and most of them really involve smallmouth. It seems the buckets are getting a little bit tougher to find these days, but if you can find patterns for smallmouth, it seems like they're a little more productive. I don't know. That's just what I see.
Yeah, do you know what? If you can, if something that people haven't, kind of overlooked a little bit for smallmouth, and something I started playing with a little bit more last year, is jerkbaits still work for me, but
Yep.
when sometimes when they're shallow, and a lot of times, after they're spawning, they're still relatively shallow. Last year, oh man, I had some killer days on a little square bill, like a little
Yeah.
1.5 square bill.
See, that's where I'm going with this.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to
They
figure out the dog
it's
bumping it off stuff and
yep, exactly. And I happened actually, it's funny. I just wrote an article for Big Jim's magazine, Just Fishing, and I talk about underutilized old school baits, and I was talking about. I remember the big O, the crankbait. You know what? That's kind of like the first little square bill that I started having any kind of success on,
right.
and now I got these new ones actually from Uzuri, and the crazy part about them is they're like I've seen them as little as $8.99 up here in Canada.
Right.
Maybe $11.99 on the top end, and they're beautiful.
And
They're beautiful.
Very
Yeah.
fairly priced, yeah.
Yeah, no, they're you know what? Yuzuri's a brand I kind of look at as Japanese quality at a Rapala price. Although Rapalas are starting to get up there.
Yeah.
They're not
They
cheap
are.
anymore. What's neat about these little crankbaits? There's a couple of things. First of all, if you see them, you see the article, you see pictures, but the finish on them, it's actually on the inside. So you know how with jerk baits
really?
and stuff, the treble hook always scratches the finish off, and next thing you
Yeah.
have nothing.
Absolutely,
So it'll scratch the surface of the plastic, but the finish is actually on the inside, so that never comes off.
Oh wow.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Pretty,
know
pretty,
that.
yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, and it's a fairly new thing they've been doing. The other thing I like about it is it's actually a silent. It doesn't have the loud whacking noises, especially when you're shallow, clear water.
Yeah,
You
how
know
do you
that.
feel about that? I mean, there's so many mixed comments on people. I guess a lot of them are silent now, and
Yeah.
a lot of
But-
people still feel like they need something rattling around in there, like the thing that rattles around in my brain every day when I get up for work. But, outside of that,
It really
on that.
it depends on water clarity, Joey.
Okay.
If you got low visibility, you're fishing, maybe Rice Lake during an algae bloom, or or Skoogog on its normal
yeah.
day and stuff like that.
Okay.
Having a rattle in there is gonna give you that little extra sound dimension. But if I'm fishing out in Lake Ontario, or in the top end of a buckhorn where the water is fairly clear, or the top end of Pigeon, those fish can see for miles.
Yeah.
And I in those cases, I honestly believe that something that's a little more subtle is better. They can feel that vibration, they can see it. Adding the noise to it, honestly, in some cases might be a little bit too much,
Right.
for them, because not that fish are great thinkers or anything, but I'm sure at some point they do smarten up and they go, there's a little bit too much to this right now. I can see it. Another cool thing about this little square bill is the hardware that comes with it, like the hooks, the split rings.
Okay.
I don't change the hooks on this.
Yeah, because you're a modifier.
I do not. Well, that's because a lot of even the Japanese jerkbaits, it's not that they're not sharp hooks. It's not that they're not quality hooks, but they tend to be soft hooks.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And anytime you're dealing with a smallmouth, and you're dealing with a smallmouth on a jerkbait, and they can open those hooks up. You make a little bit mistake, a little bit too much pressure, and they'll open that hook up.
Okay.
I've had things, but these Uzuris have like really quality stout hooks on them. Because
Is there a name for this particular this
it's
particular line you're talking about? Or
it's a Uzuri 3DB 1.5 square bill.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
looking for it. Yeah.
Yeah, go check them out, because I couldn't believe how well these. You know what? You know how you get away from things. If you look at the way. Well, you guys said you've been 20 years, right?
Yep.
Think about the stuff you used and how you fished 20 years ago and now, and I bet you've well, I know I have. Every year my the way I fish changes. You know,
We used to throw a slug out.
Yeah.
It still works. I mean,
Still works.
Well, when was the last time you picked up a slug out?
I know. How about a flipping tube?
Yeah.
I mean, really, we got into flipping tubes for quite a while there, and then all of a sudden, I got packs of them lying all over the place, and it's hard to revisit everything.
Yeah.
It is worthy to once in a while to look back. And
The thing is, you know what? The fish have not evolved that much.
No.
The marketing has. The marketing has.
Our boats
They have. Yeah. Oh well.
boats have evolved. Everything's evolved. Navionics has evolved, but
Yeah.
fish
The technology, live scope, all this,
It's crazy.
on the hummingbird side. I know are you guys running 360?
No.
Not yet.
No,
Okay.
we're running live scope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we went with that one. This year.
Have the real time. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, what? Sometimes you feel like if you're not trying it, you might be lagging behind because, like I said, we've been around the game for a long time, and it's not hard to start slipping. I just want to feel like I'm keeping up with the game somewhat, so I don't have an excuse for losing or something.
If honestly, if you want to stay competitive, technology is such a big part of fishing nowadays.
It is.
Mapping, the electronics, everything, all the tools we have, the power pose and spot lock on trolling motors and stuff like that.
Well,
First, I know people go, oh, I don't need that. Well, wait till you use it.
Yeah.
Once you use it, then you need it because you can't.
And how do you do without it? I think the other side of the coin too sometimes is that it really aids in your time management. Like when you talk about all this great Navionics technology that you've been talking about tonight, I mean, people are kind of alluding it. I mean, it is a time manager. It takes you a lot less time to map study. Things are more obvious, and you can GPS it, and boom, you've got it in your chip, and boom, it's in your boat. And all these things save you so much time. When I used to sit back with my good eyes when I was young, staring at all those little lines and go, that's a drop off,
Yeah.
It took forever to find it. Now it just jumps at you, and it saves you a lot of time in your study, I think.
Yeah, you look at it and everything pops. Like you saw that latest high res relief shading. Like that is like I looked at it and going, my God, when are we getting it on our other lakes up here? Because
Well, we'll rely on you to keep working on them.
I keep asking my first question and going. As soon as they introduced it, I looked at the map that they have showing the lakes, and I saw it just touched the St. Lawrence into Canada there, and that was it. There's nothing else in Canada. And I go like, where's Canada? Where's So I keep them on their toes,
So getting back to the crankbaits there, those little crankbaits are like even jigs. Like, well, what are we talking about for colors here? If you don't mind telling us.
Wow. Hey. Okay. I think you guys. I'm sure you guys know as well as anybody. If you're fishing the Kawarthas, you know what? If you're throwing a jig, it's hard to go wrong with a black blue jig. It's hard to go wrong. Or you know what? I fish with Doug Brownridge, and Doug will say, you know what? You can use any color you want as long as it's black.
Yeah.
That's and he's not lying. I fish with him. I know what he throws.
Yeah.
He throws a black jig. When he decides to get kind of really creative, it's black with a few green pumpkin strands in it.
Oh no.
Okay, did I let out a secret or something?
He's going down the box there.
Oh, gotta ask Doug that one.
Yeah. But that's the color, that's what you start with. When it comes to colors and stuff like that, I'm a big believer. Confidence is the key.
Yeah.
If you have confidence in a color and it's working for you, don't bother changing because I said black and blue. If you're using a black and chartreuse jig and you're whacking them, Keep whacking them. You know, don't change. Because with a lot of, I'm sure you guys have seen this with a lot of lures and things. If you have confidence in a bait and you have confidence in a certain color, you will pay attention. You know, you'll feel things better. You'll anticipate a bite. Whereas you just throw in something you don't have a lot of confidence. You know, your mind starts wandering. Joey's there thinking, "Oh man, it really's been 20 years. Oh wow, you know." Yeah. And then while he's doing that, a fish does bite and he misses it anyways. And you're more likely to catch fish on something you have confidence in. You know. And you only gain confidence in things by going out on the water and fishing and using them. But, if you want a starting point, start with a black blue, black blue jig, black blue worm, It's,
what about weight,
really,
Dave?
really hard to go wrong.
What's your go-to weight?
Well, do you know what? I've been using a very different weight these days. So, of course, early in the season, I don't think you have to go as heavy because the cover is not as thick. So early season, I'm probably using, 3/8, half ounce. But when it comes to my Texas rig, a weight that I've gotten into, when did we bring it out? 2 years ago at Ultra Tungsten. I bugged them forever for this. But I had these times when a half ounce was not heavy enough.
Yep.
And then I go to 3/4 and it was too heavy.
Yep.
So it took me 2 years of bugging them, but again, I finally got my way, and we have a 5/8 ounce.
Oh, okay.
Tungsten weight now, and that is literally, if I'm Texas rigging, that's my go-to. That's my starting point, and then I may adjust to that depending on what I'm dealing with. If the cover seems to be a little heavier or a little lighter, I can vary one way. But I pretty well almost always start with the 5/8 right now. It gives me that nice really in between. In between weight.
What about on a jig? Like what weights do you like for jig?
Half ounce is
just half ounce, yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're dealing with real heavy cover, then we do have some, kind of torpedo shaped punch jigs,
Right, yeah.
And they go up actually to an ounce, and I'll go to 3/4 or even an ounce to get through if I want to use a jig there. So.
Well, it's funny. It's something I've always noticed with Americans when you're watching them do their tournaments and that sort of thing. Whether they're fishing similar waters or they're fishing impoundments, whatever, they tend to use really heavy weights. And sometimes I'm really stunned. Like, I mean, if you talk to I don't know, Scott Martin will say, "Well, I'm going light today. I'm using a 3/4 ounce bullet weight with a crayfish." And
or bandito bug.
And I downgraded my line to 10-pound fluoro, and I'm like, what? Like, none of this stuff makes sense to me, but it's just something, I don't know, am I wrong? It seems to be what I see down there, but I don't know how it would apply up here, but
I can understand the mentality, especially, if you happen to be where Scott is, where there's in Florida where there's a ton of vegetation and stuff. I mean, the key thing is you have to make sure you're through.
Yeah.
If you're not through, you're not getting to those fish. So, I think it really depends on where you are. There's, and every year is different. Like you've seen it here. Some years the weeds are like choked, and other years you're going, there used to be weeds here. Where did they all go? Yeah. So, and you just got to adapt to whatever the conditions are and work it. There's nothing out there that says because when the weeds are really thick you're using a 3/4 or a 1 ounce, that when the weeds aren't there you have to use a 3/4 or 1 ounce. You drop down to a half ounce, or even if it's very early in season, it's not up yet, go down to a 3/8 of an ounce.
I'll ask you this, Dave, because I hate this bait. And it's called the damn Dropshot, okay? And I hate the thing.
You're gonna have to kill me first.
Yeah, I tie it up every tournament, okay? It's sitting there and it's mocking me, but I hate throwing it because I, for some reason, never catch decent fish on it. So, are you much of a Dropshot guy?
I drop shot a lot. I do drop
okay,
shot a lot.
So what's the deal? I want to be a drop shot guy, but I just, it's not being nice to me.
What's the deal? First of all, I would. It does excel for big bodies of water. It
Yeah.
really does. So when you're talking, any of the Great Lakes, Lake Simcoe, like I said, Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, and stuff like that, Dropshot will catch you a lot of big fish. On smaller bodies of water, I think it still can, but I think what happens, what you probably tend to have happen there is there's a lot more small fish, especially if you go to a lake well, you guys like fishing Stony Lake,
Yeah.
and there's just so many small fish there.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, I think it's hard for, like, if I was fishing Stony Lake and I'm targeting smallmouth, trust me, I may have a drop shot rod rigged in the boat, but it's probably not coming out. I'm going to throw baits on there that I believe, like a jerkbait or a big top water that I think is going to get me that big bite. There's no point in me dealing with 10, 11, 12-inch fish, which is a lot. It's not to say you won't catch a thing, but if I'm throwing a 1 ounce pencil walker on top, chances are if a fish comes up on it, it's going to be a decent sized one. So
Yeah.
As much as say I do drop shot, but that's also because I do end up fishing, like a lot of big bodies of water, Lake Ontario and stuff like that. So
And maybe that's my issue too, and Joey's too, because we're not big water guys.
yeah,
I mean, I want to fish Simcoe more this year, but I probably uh,
Lost you a bit, Bob.
at least
Yep.
Yeah, we lost you,
like
Bob.
I just haven't been on that body of water.
Yeah, no, we completely lost
Oh,
you.
you're back now?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
that's-
okay. All right. No, what I was saying is I haven't been on Simcoe for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, actually, we lost about 20 seconds of your conversation there.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyways, now, I've got a quick question. I've got a friend of mine that I always have this discussion. We'll call it a discussion. But he throws drop shot a lot. And to be honest with you, he's not, in my opinion, super successful with it. He does get some big fish with it. But he actually believes that there's absolutely no difference between using like 12-pound fluoro or like as a leader or 14-pound fluoro as opposed to like maybe 7-pound sniper or an 8-pound fluoro. I think there's a difference.
There's a difference. There's definitely a difference. And where it comes into play, Joey, is, of course, in a couple places where it's extremely clear. Okay. So as much as fluorocarbon is, same refractive index as water, it's invisible in water. It does, if it's thicker, you can get like a sheen on it, and you can, even though it's actually clear, but depending on how the lighting is, and it's very clear, it will show up.
Right.
It will show up. It'll be more visible if it's thicker. Okay, so it can make a difference. The other place it makes a difference is, anybody who uses fluorocarbon understands how stiff fluorocarbon is.
Yeah.
And if you're using a stiffer line, like a heavier line, like a 12 or 14 pound to drop shot with, believe it or not, it can affect the action of your bait. It's like one of the things with drop shotting. It's real key that my bait have a lot of wiggle and a lot of movement to it. And if you're using a stiff line, it could actually kind of hinder the action there as well. So I think there is a difference. It does make a difference. I carry for leader material anywhere from 6-pound tests, like for drop shotting, 6-pound. I don't go heavier than 10-pound if I'm fishing for smallies.
Right.
We have done in the past, back in the day when the bottom end of pigeon was just a big giant mat.
Yep.
Believe it or not, we used to bubble shot those mats, and we'd actually be literally drop shotting in the mats. We put a 1 ounce Carolina. This was before tungsten and everything. We put a 1 ounce Carolina rig brass weight on the bottom on a wire form, and so because it's pointed downwards, that punches through it and it takes the bait down, and then we'd have the bait like 6 inches above it, and we caught tons of fish
Wow.
doing that. It's a presentation that they don't see because every other bait goes through with a weight, goes right to the bottom, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So when we were doing it, especially when you had all those mats, it'd go through and my bait would sit 6 inches off the bottom there. So it's a lot more visible to those fish there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that,
So-
well, speaking of that, like leader length, is 6 inches an average thing that you use, or does it depend on what the situation is?
It depends on the situation. Smallies, I usually I'll start with about, 15 to 18 inches usually.
Okay.
And I rarely go I don't think I rarely go any shorter than honestly a foot off the bottom. The other thing is it makes a difference depending on how deep you are, if you happen to be dragging the drop shot or casting it, because once you're out there and it's on an angle, you may have 18 inches, but in reality your bait may only be 10 inches off the bottom because
Because
you're
it's on
an
that
angle, right?
angle there, yeah.
Yeah, it's on an angle. So you would adjust that depending on the situation. It's not there's no saying, oh, you have to do it 12 inches or 15 inches, and that's the thing. It really, every situation can call for a different length there between your weight and your hook.
Yeah. It's okay, Bob. I'll throw it as much as I can. I'll try and alleviate the pain from you. And
It is painful.
I know it is a painful state.
I like my
Then-
jig. I like my jig.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bob. If I can throw you a few tips and something, I'll tell you. I don't do as much anymore, but I did do a fair bit of guiding over the years and stuff like that. And when it comes to drop shotting, I tell you the mistake that most people do is they overwork the bait. You really have to think of it as a do nothing presentation. Especially if you got a light line, you got the right bait, it's going to have its own action there. You don't have to be constantly reeling it. It's well, here, I'll tell you that, and I've told this at a lot of seminars because it's a true story. A friend of mine called me one day and said, hey, listen, I want to hire you to take my father-in-law out for a guide trip on Simcoe, because what was he at that time? I think he was 78 years old, his father-in-law.
Oh, wow.
They said he wanted to get him out and catch some big fish. And I didn't realize at the time, but his father-in-law actually owned he had a trailer. He's from Quebec. He had a trailer on the north end of Champlain, where it comes into Quebec. And we get out there and we start talking. He said, oh, okay, we've been catching them on Dropshot, been, catching a lot of good fish. And I said, okay, this is what you have to do. Well, my friend, he's not a fisherman. He does very little fishing, but because of that, he actually listened to me, because he didn't know any better. So he goes, I better listen, I'm going to do a thing. I don't know anything. But his father-in-law, who fishes all the time when he's at Quebec and when his trailer and stuff like that, he wants to do his own thing. And we set him up at Dropshot, everybody at Dropshot, and I'm talking to him and going, so, you're Champlain, you must catch some big smallies out there and stuff like that. He goes, oh yeah, I go, well, what's the biggest one you ever caught? He goes, oh yeah, probably at least 3 pounds.
Oh yeah.
And I'm there going, I'm pretty sure our smallies on Simcoe are born at about 3 pounds.
Yeah.
They come out and they're 3 pounds. And when he told me that, I said, oh, you're in for a treat today. I'm going to get you a personal best smallmouth today for sure. But what he would do is, he thought he was using a crankbait or a Rapala or something, but he'd cast it out there. As soon as he cast it out there, hit the water, he'd start retrieving.
Oh, really?
He just start winding it in. I said, no, cast it out there, let it sit there, maybe shake it a little bit, reel up, stop, shake it a little, let it sit there, don't move it, And my friend and myself, we were catching fish like one after another. His father-in-law was not, but like I said, every cast, as soon as he hit the water, cook it over, and he starts doing this. And I said, no, you have to leave it. Okay, so finally, at one point, I'm going, oh my God, I promised this guy his personal best, and he's not even going to catch a fish right now. This is sad. I said, okay. So I said to him, okay, here, cast out. So he cast out, and then he went to grab the handle. I grabbed his hand and said, nope, okay, let it sink. Closed the bail, and then he wanted to grab the handle. I go, nope. I held him. I just tightened up the line. I said, wait, and literally watched his rod tip and sitting there, and all of a sudden it's all boom, like this. And I said, set the hook, and he turns around and looks at me and going, what do you mean set the hook? Set the hook, there's a fish on it. Set the hook. Has a 6-pounder on.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
This thing jumps. He literally craps himself when it jumps, because like I said, his biggest smallmouth was 3 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ever. And it jumps, and he actually did a very good job of fighting the fish, and we got to the boat and we landed it, and I took it out of the net, unhooked it, and I said, okay, let's take some pictures and then we're going to let it go. And I swear he was going to cry.
Wow.
It's his biggest smallie ever. He wanted to eat it. I go, we don't eat 6-pounders. This is
no.
not what, you know.
Unfortunately, in Ontario, they target other people like that.
Yeah, I said to him, so, you know, I had to go through this whole explanation that, you know, we had to let the big fish go, and we got some pictures and we let it go. So he literally, you know, so him and his son-in-law experienced something together, you know, fish of a lifetime type of thing. But the funniest thing was, after catching it, landing, we take the picture.
Yeah.
His next cast, throws it out there.
Oh, no.
Yep.
So he learned nothing.
Learned nothing.
Oh my.
Like, it just goes to show you sometimes you just can't teach old dog new tricks.
No.
You know, even though he saw that what I did worked, and you know what? He didn't catch another fish for the rest of the day. I said, you remember what we did when you got that fish? And then I said, I already got him his personal best. I did my part,
Well,
and we, and his son-in-law and I, between us, we probably caught 40, 50 fish. And he got the one, but he got the big fish. That was the big fish, you know. But he got a 6-pounder. So that's
you did your
that's a
job,
point
right?
to you,
Well.
Bob. Be careful you don't overwork the bait.
Well, there you go.
Well,
it is.
I wouldn't say I'm that bad. I don't get cranking like this, but I am actually with the situation with the tournaments with COVID this year. I am going to make a point of trying to get out on Simcoe more, specifically to try to do the drop shot thing and see if I can't, you know, get it sorted out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, if I'm out there, you know, on big body swire like that, I'm gonna probably start with a jerkbait.
Yeah.
You know, or some kind of horizontal presentation, and try to figure out how aggressive these fish are, right? What kind of mood they're in, right? Mm-hmm. If they're attacking, they're hitting that. Well, guess what? I'm not throwing a drop shot.
Yeah.
You know. But if they happen to be following the jerkbait, they're reluctant to eat it, you know, and you know the fish are around, but anything. Well, and that's when the finesse presentations come out, right? It doesn't mean you have to start with it right away. Let's see you got to let the fish tell you what they want, you know. You know, they might, if you can talk to, listen, you guys know John McDonnell.
Yep.
Of course.
Well, when he was fishing with his dad, Jim, they had a lot of success on Simcoe.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
Do you know why? His dad, even when he was like in his late 70s and stuff, man, that guy could just chuck a spinnerbait all day long.
Day long, yeah.
All day long, and that's all he would do. And he won't catch a lot of fish, but I'll tell you, when he got one, it was a good one.
Yep.
You know, and when you're, you know, we're talking 5 fish. If I had a partner in the back of the boat who can guarantee me 2 good fish for the day, I'll take care of the rest, you know. Just keep chucking that thing, and, you know, if you can get 2 good bites, and then, you know, I'll fill in the rest. And, you know, like I said, let the fish tell you what they want, you know. Don't just go out there and say, I'm going to drop shot when they might be wanting a jerkbait that day. They're feeding aggressively, and that's not going to work either.
Yeah. I remember back in the day talking to John, and I mean, you know, Joey and I've never had a great time on Simcoe, but you talk to John, and he's jerkbait, spinnerbait tube. I mean, back then there was no drop shot. Again, that's how long it's been since we've been on Simcoe, but it was jerkbait, spinnerbait tube.
Yep.
He went into his boat, he grabbed me, threw me a Matsuo jerkbait at the time. Said, throw this. And I mean, that's all it was. But now we've got drop shot and all kinds of stuff now that we didn't have back then.
Right.
Oh yeah, we got Neko rigs, we got Jika rigs, we've
Tokyo rigs.
Tokyo rigs. Yeah.
Another thing they used to talk about a lot, even John used to talk a lot about cadence and variations on his cadence and that, which is a little bit, you know, it eludes me a little bit, but I know roughly what it is. But Do you change it up a lot? Is it just something you feel your way through, or?
You know, when it comes to something like a jerkbait, it really it's more speed than I mean, cadence is cadence. Once you can get it walking the dog, they're underwater, they're going side to side. It is what it is, but you can slow that down and it gets a little wider. You know, you fish it faster and that the walk becomes a little tighter. So again, it depends on, you know, what the fish wants, and you know what, if they're following, you know, it depends on what jerkbait you're using, but you know, it depends on the jerkbait you're using. But when I, you know, fished my jerkbait back then was a Lucky Craft Point 100.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I brought that up here when, you know, guys, well, back then, believe it or not, when I got my first one, it was $30 US when I bought it out in California.
Wow.
And guys were looking at me like I had three heads.
Yeah.
You know, you paid what for it?
Yeah.
It's amazing how nowadays they don't blink an eye at dropping $40 on a jerkbait, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. But you know what? When you start taking people's money, they change their mind really, really quickly, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, speaking of John McDonald, here's a good lesson for people who are into tournament fishing. So we were doing a CFT tournament one time, and they were filming us. We had a good first day, and we were sitting in third or fourth place, and we had this pot of fish off of Georgina, surprise.
Yeah.
And I was catching them on a jerkbait, and believe it or not, Rob Lee, who I was fishing at the time, you remember Rob?
Yeah.
He was catching them on a tube. And back then, John was actually fishing with Dave DeSolme.
Okay.
And they had found the same fish. So interestingly enough, because Simcoe's so clear, but I could get them to bite on the Pointer 100, and whatever jerkbait they were using, they could not get them to bite.
Oh, really?
You know, and the thing is, I'd have one on a jerkbait, Rob would have one on the tube, then we'd have one on a jerkbait, and we'd be like, literally, the number of fish we were catching, it was really stupid. And you can literally, if they would have zoomed in on them, they would have seen them going, pulling their hair out, because they could see the same fish, but they couldn't get them to bite. You know,
I've heard that story so many times when it comes to jerkbaits. You know, you could have 10 guys all throwing jerkbaits. One guy's getting bit because either he's got the right color, the right cadence, just something different from everybody else, and it really makes
size, color, cadence, or you know, when I say cadence, I kind of speed, and you know, it's really it's all.
But it really
together.
does make that much of a difference for that particular technique.
Yeah, because it's a presentation and a lure that doesn't have really much of a built-in action to it.
Right.
You have to impart the action to it. Same as a walk the dog bait on top. You know, it doesn't. Yeah. You can't just reel that in. So unlike a spinner bait where you can chuck and wind, you can't do that. So you can obviously do little things different. And sometimes you think you're doing the same thing as the other person, and there's some very subtle difference that's causing them to trigger that bite. But I'll tell you one thing, John's a great angler, and I believe a very smart fisherman. And after, I think they watched us for about 2 hours, and literally we had probably caught 30 fish in that time, and I don't think they had caught one yet. Okay, and I think that day we came in with like 22. It's in the middle of summer, so the weights weren't that big, but we came in with like 22 pounds or something. Well, he left. Even though he saw those fish there, some people say don't leave fish to find fish.
Yeah,
but
we say that all the time.
Don't sit on fish you can't catch.
Yeah.
If because you see them, if you can't catch them, go find some fish that you can get the bite.
Yeah.
But after about 2 hours, they left. He came in with 19 pounds.
Yep. Oh, there you
go. If he would have stayed there, he might have zeroed. Who knows?
So he salvaged his day somewhat.
Yeah. You at some point you gotta just make a decision. Is something gonna change here that's gonna make these fish bite? Or the thing is, I think down in I don't know how often you guys fish down in the States, and we've had a bit of experience down there because of the the team championships with the BASS and going to different bodies of water. But my belief is when you go down to bodies of water down the States, because they're reservoirs, pattern fishing is much more of a key down there. So if fish are doing one thing in this part of the lake, if you can find the same structure in another part of the lake, they're probably doing exactly the same thing. Whereas I think up here, the fish are really much more spot oriented, and different parts of the lake, they can be doing something totally different,
That's interesting.
So-
You're the first guy I've ever
Yep.
heard actually say that.
Yep.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. Because ours are natural bodies of water. I think fish in different parts of the lake, they're not doing the same thing all over the lake. It's possible the odd time they are, but I would say for the most part, you can find fish that, and that's kind of my point when John went somewhere and used what he was using and he was able to catch those fish, but he couldn't catch the fish we were on there. So the fish he was on either were maybe feeding on something different, or they were in a different mood, or whatever the reason is, they were, it took something different to trigger them than the ones we were targeting. So,
That just goes to show you. I mean, make the change, and all of a
Yep.
sudden you're in the game again.
Yep.
Dave, this has been awesome. We're running a little long. I would absolutely love to have you back at some point if you're
Absolutely.
game.
Sure. Hey, listen, this is a blast. I mean, I love fishing, but you know what? The next best thing to actually fishing is talking fishing. So
Absolutely.
I have no problem. And of course, we've known each other a long time, and
Yes,
we've fished against each other a lot, and
Yep.
it's always fun to I was really hoping, I don't know if you guys remember a couple years ago, and if Danny's still watching, him and I were going to fish it, but Andy was going to run an old timers event.
I
And
remember the talk. Yeah.
yeah, and it never happened, but I thought that is awesome.
I'm in.
Let's get an event.
Yeah, I got the gray hairs. for it.
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
get the Zachnys, get the Clemsons, get the guys.
Sure.
We'll leave Cal out. We'll just get.
Yeah, leave
we'll just
Cal
let,
out, no.
we'll just let Paul come. Paul can fish with Zachney, who he used to fish with back in the day.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
even get, even if they can convince Hector to get out in his pontoon boat and stuff.
Oh,
and
wow.
come out and join us. I mean, I that would be such a blast, because.
It absolutely would.
Because I don't know if today, I don't know your experience, but my thing with tournaments today, I don't know if there's that camaraderie that I thought we used to have back in the day. I think it was a much smaller circle of people, and
Yeah.
and you kind of knew each other, and it was,
Yeah.
I don't want to say there was, well, I don't want to, but I'm going to. I almost kind of want to feel and say that I thought there was more respect amongst competitors back then.
100%.
Okay. Okay. So you agree. I don't want to offend people by saying
No.
but I really do believe there was much more respect back then. Not that there wasn't ever issues on the water, but nowadays people, the stuff I see happen on the water in tournaments, I just shake my head and I'm going.
I remember one time, just a very short story, but it was a spot on Rice Lake that Derek Goldie had found with Mark Tarnichuk, and it turned out there was two other teams that found that spot, and it was holding fish. Well, I was fishing with Jerry Minchell at the time. We found the spot too. We all talked about it. We had a later number. We got close to the spot. They knew that we knew that we were all fishing the same thing. They waved us in. But we waved off. We didn't feel it was big enough to support that many boats. They actually did well, and we did badly. But it was the fact that they were going to wave us in, and it was all an agreed thing. And it seemed like that sort of thing was more common. Nowadays,
Yep.
it's a bit of a more dog eat dog. I don't know.
Yep.
But nevertheless,
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Dwayne
don't-
Dwayne Jacobs is on there. He said 100%, and it's frustrating. I mean, Dwayne's an old timer too, and
Yep.
he knows. And I mean, I hate to sit here and be the old farts of the industry kind of thing, but
I don't want to
No,
be
it-
bitter or anything.
no, but it is true. There was more camaraderie. We all used to bunk together at the same hotels. You'd go out and beat on each other all day, and then you'd come back, go out for dinner, have a beer.
Yep.
And there was
For
more
sure.
respect on the water. I'd like to see it get back to that, but who knows?
Yeah. I mean, we try to. I know on the club level, I try to, I don't know if I necessarily want to say preach, but I do, newcomers who are coming to the tournament, try to instill the right ethics,
Yeah.
in them. I remember back in the day, if we were doing well, especially when we had multi-day tournaments and we were doing well and we did well the first day, and somebody would be fishing the same area and they realized that you're there and you had a good first day and they didn't, they would leave. They would leave, once they saw it was you, they would leave. Nowadays, I've had experiences where when we've done well the first day, it's like teams are looking for you and they come and they crowd you, even though you got a chance to win and they didn't have a good first day and they're all over you. And it's like, really? Come on.
And I hear that all the time. I mean, again, Dwayne and Mike, those guys are sticks on our circuit, and I'm sure they've run into it. Guys, chasing them on the second day after they see they've done good. I've heard the story from Jared and Gerard, same thing. They got to refine spots because, we've run into it ourselves. I mean, we've won in one day and then the next day they're there.
Yeah, we've been like, and Mike and Dwayne, we fished against them, and I can tell you, one of Andy's classic, one of the Bassmania classics, which they ended up winning. They had a really good first day. We were second to them after the first day. I knew where they were fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you're going to go there.
When we had a tougher time on the second day, never even occurred to me that I should go to where they are. I don't think that way because that's not what I was brought up with, when I came into the sport, but nowadays I think some people unfortunately think it's okay.
Well, maybe.
Well, just for those people, it's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
Yeah. Figure it out. You know what?
Yeah.
If you know somebody's doing well, it's not to say you don't notice where they are. And maybe the next time you come to that body of water and you're going to pre-fish, maybe you go over and look in that area and kind of figure out what they're fishing. But you know what? Don't come in on them in that tournament because they're they're doing well.
No.
That's not the way. I you know what? If the next time you're out there and you happen to go out there and check it out and you think, oh, this is good, and maybe you fish in that tournament, that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But while it's going on, absolutely, we don't need that shit.
No, for sure.
I'm with you, Dave.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Again, Dave, it's been awesome. I want you to come back on the show. I'm so glad you came on. Very informative. Where can people find you, bud?
Well, I'm on Facebook. David Chong, Fish Hard, Dream Big, and I'm Fish Hard on Instagram and Fish Hard Dave on Twitter, and I'm on a bunch of different forums, and if you're on any of those social media things, you message me, I will answer you. I may not tell you what you want to hear, but I will answer you. And and if it's during the summer, don't expect a quick answer because I may be out fishing. Oh, well, actually, I probably am out fishing.
Yeah, you've got the group too. Everything you wanted to know about fishing, but we're afraid to ask, right?
That's a new group, and you can message me through there as well. That's a group. It's not really designed for tournament guys or anything like that, but just for people who are maybe getting into fishing. And and one of the things is sometimes and I think some tournament guys are probably guilty of it. Should be if somebody asks a question and they kind of make fun of them, and you know what, not everybody has your experience, not everybody's knows the things some people are newbies and they may ask what sounds like a stupid question to you, but it's not to them. If you don't know, what are you gonna say? So and that's kind of the idea behind this group was, we wanted somewhere where somebody can come and ask the thing and nobody's going to make fun of them. Hopefully somebody will give them a real good answer. And, like you said, it's called Everything You Want to Know About Fishing, but We're Afraid to Ask.
Cool, buddy.
Yeah.
Dave, thanks for coming on. We're going to hook up again down the road.
Thanks for having me. Always great chatting with you guys.
More now.
Okay, Davey.
Okay. Thanks so much, buddy.
Take care.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Joey.
Yes, sir, Mr. Bob.
Great show, buddy.
Yeah, I thought it came out really well. You know, like
You did a
thought
fabulous job for the first time.
well, thank you. It's a bit of a revelation for me. I've never tried anything like this. I tried not to look at my face. I found it a little bit like distracting, but all in all, no, it was a lot of fun. I thought Dave Chong was fabulous. He's wildly informative. I think if people want to learn things, this is the type of forum that we need.
Yeah,
And
no,
there's so
Dave's
much
great for that.
information to be given. And the Navionics thing, he's totally correct. For $30 a year, man, you can do so much study and cut your time by like down to 10% of what it used to be. And it's
Yeah.
fun to do. It's for you. You can find all these interesting nuances based on the color schemes and the depths and that sort of thing.
For
So
sure.
I thought it was great.
All right, man. I will pick you up on Friday, and we are heading to Tri Lakes.
Tri Lakes it is. Tri
All
Lakes
right, bud.
Bassiversary. I want a carrot cake muffin.
Okay, buddy, you got it.
Okay, dude, take care.
I'll
Have a
talk
good
to you
evening.
after. Okay.
All right. Good.
Oh, wow. What a great show. Love Dave. Love Joey. Awesome. Folks, if you like that show, hit like. And if you want to subscribe, that'd be awesome too. Yeah, wow. I'm definitely going to have Dave back on. Everybody have a great week. We got a special guest next week. I'm not gonna spoil the surprise, but we got a special guest next week. So make sure you tune in, and we will see you next week. Bye.